Celebrate our nation's birthday at the largest 4th of July event in southern Arizona. Enjoy live music, a large selection of food trucks, and the best fireworks show in the region. We'll see you on Thursday, July 4th from 5 to 9:30 p.m. at Crossroads at Silverbell District Park. Visit maranaaz.gov/events for more information.
The town of Marana is dedicated to providing 5-star service for all residents, both 2- and 4-legged. Download the Marana Pets app to report a lost pet or upload a photo of a found pet. Start reuniting families today.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Town, where I sit down with the Marana staff to answer your burning questions about our beautiful community. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the town, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. My name is Terry, and I am your host, and today we're going to be talking about a few parks and recs things that people have questions about. And before we do that, I'm going to introduce our two guests here. We got Bob Stinson from our Parks and Recs department, and Bob, what is your title?
I am the Recreation Superintendent.
Recreation Superintendent. And our Parks and Recs Deputy Director, Wayne Barnett. Wayne, what's going on?
Terry, good to be here. Appreciate you having us over.
All right. Well, these are two professional Parks and Recs employees, and I greatly appreciate you guys joining us today. We've got three separate questions that have come in about various park elements in our community, and I know I got the right guys here to answer those questions. But before we do that, a little icebreaker here, because Father's Day is right around the corner, and you guys got any special plans for Father's Day? Wayne, let's start with you.
Yeah, we're going to have the kids over for brunch, so we get them in early and get them out so we can relax the rest of the day. But have my son over and my stepdaughter. I became the dad of a daughter a couple years ago, and I'm loving it. It was quite a blessing, and every day I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, and what are you seeing major differences between being the father of a son and being the father of a daughter? You seeing differences? I mean, what's the major takeaway there for you?
I worry a lot more about her than I did about him.
That is the truth. Now, Bob has two sons. I have 3 sons, 2 daughters, and I can attest to the truth of that worry element because my sons, when they got older, started going out, driving, things of that nature. I didn't worry. But when my daughters did, I worried, and I still worry, and they're in their 20s now. So I can relate to that. Bob, you got a couple of sons. What are you going to be doing with them on Father's Day?
Yeah, we're excited. We're moving into a new house, so we're getting ready to break that house in and have a great time.
Oh, that sounds outstanding. Outstanding. All right. Well, we are here to talk about 3 different topics that have come in from members of our community. And the first one here deals with the Marana. Is it called the Marana Rocks Disc Golf Course? Is that what it's called? Or is it just
Sorry, Terry. Yeah, classically that was the name, was the Marana Rock Disc Golf Course.
Marana Rock. What's the history behind that? Why was it called that?
History there was, it was at El Rio Preserve, where it's currently located. Yeah. And there was that huge rock that was there in the middle. So there was a disc golf basket that was located there. So it was a big iconic looking shot and really pretty basket location as well.
Okay, so there is some reason behind the name, so that's good to know. So, but a number of years ago, this listener says it was wiped out by flooding, and I'm assuming they is specifically Wayne and Bob, maybe not specifically, but they have been telling news agencies it's a priority to rebuild since months after the flooding. When will the new course be constructed? So what's going on with that? It's been years, right? How many years ago was that it flooded and the disc golf course was no more?
Yeah, I think the writer was correct by stating 10 years is when it first started. What had happened was the levee had broke there, and the Santa Cruz, every time it flooded during monsoon season, it would flood that area. And so I think we had some hesitation putting the disc golf course back in its original way because we didn't want it to keep flooding out and have to, keep digging out these baskets. Also, I think the town's view for that area changed a little bit in what we were using it for. So we turned it into the El Rio Preserve, and then that turned into more passive recreation. So, our intention wasn't to have a disc golf, which is kind of more active recreation in that exact location. So I came on board about 9 years ago, and I started talking about it, I think, within the first couple of weeks when I started. And I was really excited working with the local Marana Disc Golf Club to kind of figure out what we wanted to do and what they were looking for.
So, Bob, do you play disc golf?
I do. My shoulder hurts. I tried. It's very challenging, but I wouldn't say that I'm great. I'm familiar with the game and do thoroughly enjoy it.
So it's different than a frisbee, right? This is not like a frisbee that you're tossing.
That's correct. Yeah, you can't call it a frisbee. You'd be scoffed at. It's a disc.
What would happen if I showed up and I called it a frisbee?
You'd probably be fine. If I did, they'd probably heckle me out of there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you have been working with these folks for a while. This is something you're familiar with. The bank levee broke and destroyed it, and was kind of fortuitous so that happened because that's what kind of wasn't that the impetus for the creation of the preserve and getting water in there year round?
Yep, that's definitely what happened as far as how that vision came about the El Rio Preserve. And it's done great things for bird species and habitats there. I think it turned into a really great area. The now new plan has been, moving the disc golf course to a plot of land that's a little further south than that. And we have about 42 acres there that we're looking to build on.
Okay, so there is a great plan in place to do this. When is it going to be executed?
Yeah, so that's great news. We're starting this next fiscal year that we do have funding to complete the disc golf course. It's all designed, all the construction documents are already there. So after monsoon season this year, we will be starting up.
Okay. What would you estimate in terms of number of people that are actually out there playing disc golf? I've never actually seen anybody play disc golf. I've never played it myself. So what are the numbers? Are we talking about a couple hundred? Are we talking about thousands? I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I think certain courses, there's a handful of courses throughout the greater Tucson area. And I think, a good course can see up to a couple hundred a weekend.
Okay. All right. During the week, though, not a lot of activity during the week, mostly weekend activity?
Might be kind of diehards right after work. Somebody sneaks out at 4:30. Because disc golf, you can play 18 holes in a matter of an hour and a half, hour 15, hour and a half, depending on how long the course is and how good you are.
Okay. Is it an Olympic sport yet?
I can't confirm nor deny that.
Okay, that's something we're going to have to look into because it seems like that would be something. They make everything else an Olympic sport.
I guess now, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So,
Wayne,
if I could jump in.
Yeah, jump in, Wayne.
One other thing that's another feature with the course is there's going to be a parking lot now. So we're going to be able to accommodate more people. People won't have to park on the streets. They won't have to disrupt the neighborhood. They can come. We've got a dedicated space for people to park, safe access to the course. And so it's going to be a really good experience for families to go out there.
Good to hear. Good to hear. You guys have put some thought into this.
We have. We've worked, as Bob said, over the years, just thinking this through, working with Pima County. Pima County Flood Control has put in new bank protection along that area to help mitigate some of that flooding that we talked about. So there has been a lot of thought. It's been well engineered. It'll still flood from time to time, but we won't see what we saw 10 years ago.
Excellent. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you guys are Parks and Recs professionals.
We like to think of ourselves that way.
Yeah, right on. Bob, it looked like you wanted to add something.
Yeah, so we actually, a handful of years ago, incorporated this plan into our master plan for the Parks and Rec department. I know Wayne was here, and him and our director, Jim Conroy, really took the lead on that and provided the insight on moving forward with this disc golf course here in our plan.
Good. All right, so hopefully we answered this listener's question about the disc golf. It's right around the corner. A lot of planning went into it. look forward to seeing that course. I might even get out there and try it with you someday, Bob.
Yeah, we got a disc for you, Terry. You let me know when you're ready.
Outstanding. Just as long as I don't show up and call it a Frisbee.
Yes,
I'll be
sir.
okay. All right. Very good. Now, next question on here, and this is one I hear quite a bit in our community, and it has to deal with youth soccer. Now, soccer is a pretty big sport. It's a growing sport. Lots and lots of families getting involved with that with their kids, and they travel all around with it and whatnot. And this particular listener says it's been growing in our community and throughout the country. It says Marana is a desirable location and has the land to create a large soccer complex for tournaments. Has Marana looked into this at all? Wayne, I'm gonna start off with you on this one.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, we have. Bob mentioned our master plan, and our master plan includes a large sports complex. So, that being in the master plan and that coming to fruition are two different things. A large sports complex is a large undertaking. A project of that scope, you're looking at $20+ million. So finding the land is one thing that has to happen. And then finding the funding is another thing that has to happen. And yes, Marana has lots of land, but not all land is good land when it comes to constructing a facility like this. So there are some obstacles. And yes, we have considered this and we will continue to consider it, but it's not imminent.
Okay, so not imminent, lots of land. Interesting that you mentioned cost. I want to talk about cost for a minute because you said $20 million. Now, I'm thinking it was going to be a lot higher than that because we're doing a community center and aquatic center over here that's going to be $62 million, something like that. So a soccer complex, is it just a bunch of fields? I mean, what is it, just soccer? I mean, what exactly is that sports complex going to involve?
Right. So that's a good question because we would look to really maximize the opportunity when we get to the point where we can construct a complex. We would be looking to include not just soccer. We'd be looking to include diamond fields so we could host baseball, we could host softball, and then we'd be looking to possibly have a large pickleball facility. And then,
whoa, man. All the listeners' ears just perked up out there, man. Everybody over the age of 15, I think. It seems like everybody's playing pickleball.
Yeah, if you've not heard, pickleball is popular.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, in fact, this summer we've got our first camps going on right now for kids in pickleball.
Wow.
So we're starting them young.
Okay.
But
we're not talking about pickleball. So Terry, stay on point and let Wayne finish. Okay.
Well, so soccer fields, I said $20+ million, and I threw out that number because when we initially started having discussions about this in our master plan 3 or 4 years ago, a cost that was thrown out was $16 million. So 3 or 4 years ago, $16 million is now $20+ million. And it really depends on all of those amenities that you'd want to include. So you'd have all of those fields. You're going to need infrastructure. You're going to need restrooms. You're going to need concessions. You're going to need tons of parking. You're going to need lighting. So there's a lot that goes into it. And if we are able to construct a facility like this, we want to make sure that it's available and has the ability to host large special events too. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of opportunities. And again, it's in our current master plan. In the next year or so, we're going to update that master plan. And so we'll really start to give it some shape and really start to plan for the future for a facility like this.
All right. And lots of land. People drive through Marana, and certainly there's lots of open space. We got 122 square miles. Only 32 square miles of it is actually developed. So you do the math, that leaves 90 miles of open space. A lot of that, however, is owned by the state, not available. And very, 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 very little of it is owned by the town itself. So we would actually have to find a landowner, right, who has land that they'd be willing to sell to us for a sports complex. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong on this, so don't hesitate to say wrong, Terry. But wasn't in the master plan, it kind of looked at toward Aver Valley Road, not too far from the airport. Was that one of the potential sites for that?
You are correct.
Okay.
So the Bureau of Reclamation, did I say that right, Bob? Thank you.
You did.
The Bureau of Reclamation has got land out near the airport. And that's kind of what we've got our eyes on. And so if we can get to the point where we've got funding identified and we can make an agreement with the Bureau of Reclamation, that would be a great spot. And then, there are other logistics that we have to work out, with the airport because of the lighting and the impact that would have on the airport. But that would be a great location. It's accessible from the freeway. So folks coming from out of town, there's a couple of different ways to get there. The impact to communities and built neighborhoods isn't there because it's just open space. So,
Right.
so you're right. That is on our radar for sure.
Make a splash this summer with Marana Parks and Recreation at any of our 3 aquatic facilities. Marana Pool is open Monday through Thursday from noon to 4 p.m. and Friday through Sunday from noon to 5 p.m. You can even check out our 2 community splash pads open daily from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is free. Visit maranaaz.gov/aquatics for locations. We'll see you there.
Marana Parks and Recreation's award-winning Crafting for a Cause program is looking for creative seniors ages 50 plus who want to give back to their community. Activities include jewelry making, wreath making, painting, and a chance to sell their creations at town festivals. Proceeds will benefit various causes, including the Marana Community Food Bank and Marana Unified School District. For more information, please visit maranaaz.gov/team senior or visit us at the Marana Community Center located at 13250 North Lawn Adams Road.
Do you have a favorite place to eat in Marana? I know I do. We'd love to have you tell us about that place and nominate them for the Taste of Marana Standout Award. This Discover Marana program shines a spotlight on the great food businesses in Marana that make our community a better place and more attractive to tourists. We hope you'll join us in making this program a success and spreading the word about the amazing food businesses in Marana and nominate today. Head to discovermarana.org and search Taste of Marana for a link to the nomination form and to read about the previous winners.
And how many acres for something like that? Any idea, Bob or Wayne?
Well, I wanted to pop back real quick on the BOR land. That's actually a really great location because it's tied into the CAP trail. And so eventually the CAP trail will be built out all the way around. So this park could potentially lie on a trail that will tie into, hopefully the loop and just kind of the whole overall regional trail system. So pretty exciting.
Well, you guys are thinking ahead here, man.
I love trails. I get excited.
Yeah, I know you would love trails. So people could hike there, people could bike there, they could push their kids in a stroller there.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, that would be the hope, tie everything in together. Yeah.
That would be outstanding. So the question I had, and I forgot. Oh, yeah, how many acres? What are you thinking it would be?
So 60 plus acres.
That's a big park.
Yeah, at a minimum.
Yeah.
And there's just lots of the thought processes start going when you're putting in a facility that big. What else can we add?
Yeah.
We can make it family friendly. Do we have playgrounds there? What can we do? So there's lots of options, lots of opportunity, but funding.
People get hungry. Can you put a bar and grill out there?
I'm sure somebody would want to do that.
Okay, all right. That's not a Parks and Recs thing, though.
That is not.
Okay.
I can't say that our staff don't participate in those activities.
Okay.
But one other thing I just wanted to make a point about that is the funding opportunities. So there are a lot of town priorities that cost a lot of money. We've got a lot of traffic and interchange projects in the works that cost a lot of money. So as a town, we have to prioritize, and this type of sports complex is important, but we've got to make sure we can get people there first. So as a town, we're working to see where these types of things fit in.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Bob and Wayne, for answering that listener's question, and I think it was a very thorough and complete response. So appreciate that. Now, let's get into this last one, and this deals with improvements that have been made to the Tortolita Preserve. And this particular listener is asking about some of the recent improvements. So I think there was an expansion of the parking lot and an actual creation of a true parking lot, as well as some fencing that was put up all around the preserve. And this person is asking, is it intended to help wildlife in some way? And if so, how does fencing accomplish this? And then a second question would be, are there plans to further expand the size of the preserve? So let's start with the fencing. There was it was a CIP project last year, I think it was completed, and you got a new parking lot out there. And as part of that, you fenced off the south and the west, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay,
Terry.
so talk about the purpose of the fencing.
Yeah, so the fencing, we were trying to keep OHVs out. So out there it is.
OHVs.
Off-road, off-highway vehicles, but, your side-by-sides, your dirt bikes, and four-wheelers.
I know exactly what you meant, Bob, but I don't know if all of our listeners do.
That's
so
a good point.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
I have one. I thoroughly enjoy it. I have a good time being outside, but
not in the preserve, though, buddy.
Not in the preserve.
All right.
So yeah, we did. The intention is to protect that land and keep it like natural, kind of as natural as we can, undisturbed Sonoran Desert. So with that, that is Arizona State Land Trust land out there, and you are able to recreate with the OHVs on that land with a permit. And so what we try to do is just make sure that the area that we have a lease on that we're preserving, that we made sure that we're going to uphold our end of the lease and make sure that we're, keeping it as natural as possible. So with that
Before you go on, Bob,
yes, sir.
You said a couple of things there, and I want to make sure that our listeners are not confused.
Okay.
Because one, you said that it's state trust land.
Correct.
And people can use that land. And when you say that land, you're talking about state trust land in general.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
So people can use state trust land and they can use their off-road vehicles on that land.
With a permit.
With a permit. Got to have a permit. But we have state trust land that we actually lease.
Yes, sir.
And in that area, people cannot use their off-road vehicles.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason you said that we fenced it, to keep off-road vehicles out of the portion that we actually lease.
Yeah.
And they can use their off-road vehicles in the part that is not dedicated as the Tortolita Preserve, but they cannot use it in the preserve.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. All right. Wanted to make sure I had that right.
You're on it. You're tracking.
I'll let you finish your thought there.
So speaking to the barbed wire fence there, so we worked with Arizona Game and Fish to make sure that we had the most up-to-date wildlife fencing. So wildlife fencing is intended and designed to protect wildlife to be able to pass through and pass over those fences. So it also is comprised of a smooth wire on the bottom, so no barbs, 2 middle wires that are barbed, and then a smooth wire on top. So that way, your deer and kind of jumping type animals can jump over the top of the fence and their belly can rub or their feet can hit and they won't get cut. Same with, like a javelina or a smaller animal can go underneath and won't get their back scratched as they pass through.
So, Bob, if you were a desert animal,
yes,
would you be a deer or would you be a rabbit? I mean, what would you go over or would you go under? That's all.
I'm going for a mountain lion, so I can go either way. So that way I can.
Mountain lion. Nice, good answer. Okay, so it's there. It's not intended to keep animals in the preserve, which is part of what this listener was asking.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't do that. It doesn't restrict their movement.
Right.
It's not intended to keep them out or to keep them in. There was one type of animal that this fencing was put to keep out. Well, tell me about that animal.
That'd be a bovine, Terry. So.
A bovine. And for those who are not, what are people that study animals? What are they called? They're not veterinarians, and that's a doctor. So what are people? I mean, like horticulturists or people that study plants. What are people that study animals?
What are they?
Zoologists.
That'll work.
So for those who aren't zoologists and maybe don't know what a bovine is,
right? So cattle, we're over there
Yeah.
here in Arizona. We have a fair amount of open range, and people can't buy grazing rights to certain areas. And in that area, there were some cattle, and with cattle does come grazing and comes a little bit more impact to the land. So in that section, we did try and keep cattle out, or we are going to keep cattle out with that fencing.
Okay. Had any problem with the fencing, either off-road vehicle people cutting the fence or cattle getting through it or anything like that?
Yeah, initially there was a couple cuts that we noticed within the fence line. It seemed like that happened for about a month, and then after that, everything has really calmed down, and I think people understood that they still have access to the land and to everything surrounding, just not within the confines of the preserve.
All right. So, Wayne, anything you want to add to that description from Bob?
I think Bob covered it, but I will just point out that the other part of that project that installed the fence was putting in a new parking lot at the preserve. And I give Bob a lot of credit. It was his design.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I meant to bring that up. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah,
because that's a cool thing.
It really is cool. We set out initially to put in the new parking lot, and it was just a parking lot, just a square, basic parking lot. Bob took a look at it, and his brain started working, and he figured out a
Meaning
shape.
it wasn't working before, or it just started working? I mean, he's in his 30s, and it just now started working?
Started working at a different level.
Right.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he came up with sort of a kidney-shaped design that is really effective, really worked well, included some space for horse trailers. And so the horse community is really happy. And it allowed us to preserve some of the really stately saguaros that are on the property.
Yeah.
So a lot of credit to Bob. And it just enhances the user experience. People can pull in, whether they're going to hike or jog on the trails or bring their mountain bikes or bring their horses. They've got a really good, solid, safe place to park.
Yeah. Shout out to Bob on that, because even the engineers who were designing it didn't think of that. And now they wanted to steal him away from us to help them to design, natural parking lots and amenities. So way to go, Bob.
Thank you, sir. I thought about it, but I love working for the town, so
Yeah. I love that. What a great answer. What a great answer. All right. So anything else in the Parks and Recs world that you guys want to hit on before we close out this episode?
I can touch on the second portion of this question here if there's plans for future expansion. So as we stated before, that this is a lease on this land. So anything that we do from here out does have to be approved by the state land department. So we had talked about expansions of trail systems and kind of looking at what our next phases are going to be. So with that, it is in our master plan as well that, that's something that we would consider. We just would have to go through those channels and take a look with state land and see if they're
Is that going to cost us more money?
There's a decent chance it would cost you some more money.
Yeah. Right now, any idea what we're spending on the lease to lease that land? It's over $600,000, and every 5 years goes up 5%. So by the time the lease is done in, I don't know how many years we've been doing it now, 20 years. So in another 80 years, it'll be well over $1 million. So so the town continues to pay that and gives a wonderful place for people to recreate and hike and bike and sightsee and all of those things. So
the good thing is if we do end up getting these expansions approved, it'd be a one-time fee, Terry. So it's not going to keep tacking on every year.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know you're not going to increase my yearly bill there.
No,
I
sir.
appreciate it. Yeah. Yanni will appreciate that too. Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to add? Things that are going on at Parks and Recs that you think this community will want to know about?
Well, we've got a full slate of summer camps that are going on. As I mentioned earlier, our pickleball camp for kids ends this week. We've got a theater camp coming up next week. We've got volleyball and other sports camps going on. The Marana pool is open for business, and their business is booming. They had their Splash Savvy event last weekend. Maybe you caught it live on Instagram. It was fantastic. Yeah, just a lot going on. But
wait a minute. Wayne, I'm not going to let you just breeze by the Splash Savvy event and the competition that took place without announcing the winner.
So I'll announce the winner. This year's winner. So if you don't know, the Splash Savvy event is a relay every summer between the Marana Lifeguards, the Marana Police Department, and Northwest Fire.
And who won, Wayne?
This year, the Marana Police Department.
Oh, cops beat the firefighters. I love it.
Came out on top. So hang in there, lifeguards, hang in there, firefighters. There's always next summer. But one last thing I just want to say is that it's hot. You know, if you're enjoying the parks, we love seeing you out there, but please, please, please be careful, be safe, stay hydrated. Don't be out there too long. We want to see you back in the fall when things cool off.
All right. And Bob, anything from you to wrap things up?
Yeah, I think Wayne said it pretty great, but the recreation machine is in full effect. We're excited for summer and a bunch of smiley faces out there in blue.
You want to tell our listeners how the Community Center Aquatic Center is coming?
Oh, it's coming swimmingly, so to speak. The competition pool's all formed up and looking really great. The recreation pool is starting to take form. And actually, if you drive down Marana, Maine, you're able to see those walls that are now topped out on the gymnasium.
Yeah, it's looking impressive. I know we're real close to a beam signing event that we're going to do there next week.
Yes, sir.
And excited about that. So you start putting those beams across and putting the roof on, man, and it's moving along. And still, just so people know, we're still looking at roughly spring of next year, right? I mean, is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, we're looking late spring next year. We want to be
spring.
We want to be cautious.
Okay, all right.
Throwing dates out there.
All right.
Late spring, we're pretty confident in that. So our thought is that if you're swimming in our 52-year-old pool this summer, next summer get ready to swim in a brand new Cadillac.
Ooh, I like it.
It's coming.
I like it. All right, listeners. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sending in your questions. We greatly appreciate it. Continue to send them in because we love doing this and we love answering your questions. So keep on listening, and until next time. Submit your questions by visiting maranaaz.gov/realtalk, and we'll answer them right here. To receive notifications for new releases, remember to click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date on current news and events.